Hello and welcome to sim.bc where it is, let's see again, 13:34 and we have light even though it's pouring down rain outside. It's still, some light to gain from it. I think it made no difference that I didn't have to have it on. Anyway, so yesterday we went to Saint-Emilion. Yeah, yet again butchering the language with my pronunciation. I know that I am, so don't even comment about it. And it was really nice. It was a cool experience to see something so vastly different from Bordeaux because even ever since I got here, I haven't really felt like, oh, I'm in France. You know what I mean? But in Saint-Emilion, in that small city with all of the vineyards surrounding it, it was such a French experience. I don't know what to say more than that really felt like France. When I depicted France, that's what I thought of. Because ever since I got here, it feels like, oh, I'm kind of home, but in a different country. You know, the setting is kind of the same, but in Santa Emilion, it was such a huge difference. I mean, it was really the feeling of, wow, this is another place. I am abroad right now. That kind of feeling. So I totally recommend it. Anyway, if I'm not going to go too into my personal life, I thought of what should I discuss today. I thought about that about 5 minutes ago, and then I realized I have a midterm on Monday. And usually, when people have like busy stuff they have to do in school or things, they have to reprioritize their leisure time, whatever it's called, so that they have time to study. But it struck me that the more things I have to do in school, the more I have to talk about since I'm studying business and I love to talk about business. So today we're going to talk about the sales cycle. Yay! I know, maybe not the most fun thing in the world, but it's prep for me, it's a prep for me. So, talking about prep, the first step in the 6 step sales cycle, as we have been taught, is the preparation time. And that is basically when you move into a negotiation or to a sell, you want to do your prep time first so that you know who am I going to talk to, which kind of language will I need to use in order to get to this person, as I've discussed in the previous video, and what kind of clothing do I need to wear. For instance, if I know that the person I'm going to talk to, my client, let's say, is someone with not with, but like someone with an important job and a high position who deems respect, like they want respect. I might not dress casually. I might dress more formally. That's the word. Yes, it might dress more formally, and I also want to know what kind of job is this person working at. Is he or she high up in their hierarchy in their organization? Do they have the power to actually make the sale, or are they just the intermediate between different salesperson, me, and someone else? So do your prep time. The next part is the introduction. And here is, I would say that a good 90% of all sales, and this is just my opinion, is decided in the introduction. Because if you've done your prep time properly, you will move into this, to the introduction of this person. And since you know who they are, you will hopefully have, met their underlying requirements and their underlying assumptions of what you should do when you greet them. But here comes the thing. Now you're going to make a personal connection. So you don't just go in and say, "This is my product, please buy it." You might go in and say, "Hello, how are things with you? Can I sit down maybe? Can I take a chair? What's your name again?" Or maybe not what's your name again because that's including in the prep time. But how much time did we have? Did we say we said 15 minutes? Is that still an option? Does that still work? Because something might have come up. If something come up, what is there come up? You maybe can touch upon that in a little while and say like, "Oh, I'm sorry," or "Oh, that sounds awesome. That seems great." Because this introduction part is all about making a personal connection to the person that you're going to talk to, and that is wildly important. Because if someone like you, they are more inclined to actually, make a sell with you. They're actually more inclined to be, yes, I can buy that. I might buy another one. But if you seem rough and they don't love you. I mean, they don't like you at all. They might not trust you, and if they don't trust you, they're going to end up not, making the sell. Easy as that. After the introduction, which is so vastly important, you have the, what should you say, the need assessment, because the person that you're going to talk to might have a need, but you might not know about that need. Sure, you've done your prep time, but there might be things you haven't thought about in the prep time, or things that you couldn't access in the prep time. So here you're asking some questions to get like, what is your needs in the company? What is it that you need? And if they don't have a need that fits your product, you try to implement the need for them. So for instance, saying like, if they think that their safety is up to standards, let's say that it's the best safety there ever was, you might say yes, and you're selling something that is mainly inclined to safety, and you can't come up with any safety need. You might say that this is a more efficient way of dealing with the safety needs. So that need of time saving, like a time saving, or maybe it's more resource efficient, or something like that, something else. So you're trying to implement a need for the customer so that they will want to have your product. And that's rolling over to the next one, implement, like introducing the product to them. Because now you've both created a need for them, you've prepped your time, and you've introduced yourself, not in that order. And now it's time to present your product. And they're going to be like, this is the best thing ever, since you've just implemented a need and they like you. If that's a given. You will present the product, maybe the safety product. If we just go with that example, you have the safety insurance maybe, and you're going to present it to them, and they're going to be all like, "This is great. This is awesome. It fits my need. I like you as a person, and it looks like you've done your prep time." So then you're moving over to, yeah, that's just a short presentation. Keep it kind of short. Keep it kind of condensed. Don't speak for like hours and hours and hours about the product. Nobody wants to listen to that. That's boring, as I said before. People don't like numbers or materialistic stuff. Well, people love materialistic stuff, but might not in a sale and in information. They don't like to listen to just straight facts all the time. They love stories, on the other hand. So that's like the introduction part is very important, because you're telling a story about yourselves and the other person. So the product presentation might be short, but it's going to be condensed and include all of the things that is important. And importantly, if you've introduced a need that wasn't in the product presentation before, make sure to cover that need in the product presentation, so that it makes sense that you've introduced that need. After the product presentation, you might need some obligations, and this is well, I wouldn't say an optional step, because it always happens, most of the time, except in class when the teacher asks any questions about that, and everybody's silent. But otherwise, it will almost always happen. But yeah, there are some fringe times when it doesn't, some fringe examples. But these this part is to meet yeah, my language is just all over the place. The idea here is to meet obligations, or no, sorry, objections. I mean objections, Your Honor. Your idea here is to meet objections, because there might be people who are like, can you maybe give me more information about this? I don't need this at this point in time. What is this product really like? Because I might not have gotten it. So most of the time they just want more information in the objections. They're going to be objecting like, can you give me more information about this? A good, I would say 70% of the time. Now, I'm not an experienced sales rep, so I might not know. And in the objection, they also can ask about your personal story, like, who are you really? They might not have gotten that good of a connection with you in the introduction, so they might take that time to do that. So both in the need assessment and the objection part, you're dealing with questions, but in the needs assessment, you're asking them, and in the objection, they're asking you, and you're providing answers that are sufficient enough. Now, important to also keep in mind here is to not give them too long answers, because many people, I mean, there might be really good answers, but many people, if they have like 15 questions to you, they might not remember what they've asked if you're going on for an hour with your answer. You know what I mean? Or even 15 minutes if they haven't written it down, for instance. Also a good idea, ask if you can take notes during the meeting. It's always good. There will always be things that you haven't thought about, so you can take notes, and it's always polite and nice to ask them about. Now, moving on to the last step is closing the deal. Now, this seems really easy, but as I've told you about my personality test with empathy and projection, someone like me have a very hard time actually projecting the sale, closing the sale. I'm very good at talking. I'm very good at doing step 1 through 5, but the 6th step actually, like, I'm really good at creating value, but capturing the value, That's where I'm having a really hard time because I don't want to come across as rude. And what you gotta keep in mind here when you're closing the sale is that you're not. You have spent 5 steps or five different, like a very long time creating value for the customer. You convince them that this is value for you. If you can't close the sale and say, here you go, here's the value, then it really sounds like you haven't created any value at all. The thing is that when you're coming to this step, sure, you need to say like, you must be the one, you mustn't be the one, sorry, but you need to be actively saying, let's make this sale in the end. If this person has all of the, all of the right, what did you say, experience, authority exactly to actually make the sale. Otherwise, you might try to reschedule for another meeting when they can bring someone who is. But if we assume that you have the person who has the authority to make the sale, you have to introduce and really be like, not persistent, might be the wrong word, might be the right word. I would say persistent, but in a more positive way, because I know many people have a very negative view of the word. But you need to be persistent to make the sale, and if you have created value in a good enough fashion, then people will actually want your product, and you won't have to convince them that much in the end step because they should already be convinced. So to summarize this, we have the prep time. We have the prep time, the introduction, the question needs assessment. You're asking them. We are having the product presentation. Then we have objections, Your Honor. That's how I remember it. Where they're asking you questions, and then we have closing the sale. And it should end with a thumbs up. Oh, I know, pedagogical, isn't it? Yeah, purely a coincidence. Anyway, that was all for me today. So have a nice day, guys. I'll see you tomorrow after or before I've done my midterm and my presentation in leadership. Gonna be all fine and all good. Gonna be amazing. I'm really looking forward to it. So